All right, welcome back in. 7:28 on Portland Sports Leader 105.1 The Fan. We just did Cafe Day Dirt and Sprague, and at the end of it, we played Adam Silver, who yesterday had a Board of Governors meeting. We have some updates on some other non-Portland dealings we can get to.
You got the Clippers stuff. You got the Vegas and Seattle expansion fronts. There's a lot going on in the NBA right now.
How about the groundbreaking report that there might be another company Kawhi Leonard was getting money from?
Yeah, that's good.
Pablo Torre evidently missed one, so we got to continue to wait on that investigation.
Another one.
Expansion talk. Sounds like Vegas is a little more ahead on the bidding process than Seattle, but I think he still remained pretty optimistic about the idea of getting teams in Vegas and in Seattle.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Now, he's either saying Vegas is a hotter spot for people, or he's reserving the right for the Portland Trailblazers to become the Seattle Supersonics, because I did not find this particularly very settling as somebody living in Portland watching the city council battle Tom Dundon on funding for the arena renovation.
Spent time with Tom and his partners here in Las Vegas, and what we are most focused on right now, the league office, is the deal that we discussed when we were in Portland in March. I was hoping more progress would have been made by now on that agreement, and it seems to have gone off track in various ways. And so I have a colleague, Joe Masco, who's day-to-day on it, but we're working with both sides to ensure that the Trailblazers can have a long-term future in Portland. But there are several open issues that still need to be resolved.
So not a great answer, I think, if you're looking at this from our lens, because we've sat here the whole time, and look, we'll get to all of it, but him basically... And you can say he's a shill for the ownerships. You're not wrong.
That's his job.
That's literally what he's hired to do.
That's literally what the commissioner's job is.
But he also is telling you, like, what are you guys doing over there is how I hear that. Now, this is the OPB report. They had this about a day and a half ago. The deadline to commit public dollars to Moda Center renovations rapidly approaches. It appears the Portland City Councilors will be asked to approve the spending of $120 million on the arena renovation next month without knowing where the money will come from in the city budget. According to city officials, that's because the Trailblazers have yet to share details of the renovation plans they have in mind for the Moda Centers. The Blazers have said on their end they need the city to commit to funding before they'll share designs.
We basically have a standoff of one side saying, how are we going to show you what we're going to build without knowing what our source of revenue and where the investment's coming, like how much money are we getting? And the other side saying we can't approve that funding unless you show us what you're going to build. And we have a very stupid game of chicken playing out right now. And the reason that we're going to have to ask them potentially to vote in August, because that's coming up in August, the city council is supposed to enter into the agreement to start discussing and contemplating the lease agreement and all of that and the funding. That's when that process begins, is that we're still waiting on, if you remember, there's the environmental, I can't remember what the name of it is.
The environmental fund, yeah.
The environmental fund, and then there's another fund. So the Portland Clean Energy Fund is one of them, and then the Prosper Portland Fund, which is the city's economic development bureau. And those are the two entities that are supposed to be currently debating whether or not you will get money from those funds, who are saying we need to see your plans in order to approve this funding. And the Blazers are saying we don't have plans until we know what the funding looks like. And that's where the game of chicken comes in. Because if those don't get approved, then you go to August without the city council knowing and having to vote on the idea of where's this money coming from and how much is the city actually going to be on the hook for.
How did that answer from Silverland with you?
There's a mixed bag with this, right? Like on the one hand, I'm not surprised by it. I think we've all kind of looked at the situation, and there's been some that we've talked to in the city who have said, guys, there's a process, it's playing out, but then you point to an OPB article and the criticisms that are 100% fair of the Blazers not really playing ball in this game right now. They're just kind of saying, you guys figure this out, we'll take it from there, give us our money. And there needs to be a relationship here. There needs to be a back and forth in lines of communication, and there do not seem to be right now. And that's frustrating. But on the end of it, I don't know. I'm not letting this go to DEF CON, whatever the highest level is yet, because this is...
Is it 1 or 3? I always
forget. I think the lower number is the bigger DEF CON, but I always forget. We always do. Yeah, correct. Swag saying yeah.
The Swag, no.
I don't know. This is the next...
DEF CON 1 is the worst.
Okay. So what does it go through, 1 through 5?
1 through 5.
I'd say we're at DEF CON 3 right now.
Where were you at before the answer?
4.
So you moved up a DEF CON.
I was always a DEF CON. Like, I couldn't say 5, no threat at all.
I think it always has to be in the top 4.
It has to be 4,
yeah.
And now this comment has pushed it down to a 3 for me, because this is the public negotiation that will take place from the Blazers and the NBA side. Their leverage in this debate is the open-ended nature of the team could move to a different city. That is their leverage in discussing it with the city. And so it doesn't behoove Adam Silver to come out and say,
you will cripple the city if you lose the deal.
Yes, and that's their leverage, and they know that's their leverage. And so you haven't had a lot of movement on it. Dundon's in Vegas. He's talking to Adam Silver about this. And so he gets asked a question. Shout out to Sean Hyken for being there and asking the question about it, because if he's not there, I don't know if anybody nationally is going to ask about this. And I'm not surprised that Adam Silver responded with that, and hopefully it's a bit of a wake-up call for people in this city to get their ducks in a row and say, this is a realistic threat. We've all acknowledged it's a realistic threat. If you don't pass the funding, now it's our time to act.
So very interesting in thinking about how all of this has kind of played out. I will say, like, and I'm just giving you what I've heard, because you talk to people and you've talked to people in the political world. You're a little more connected to that than I don't want to ever be really that connected to it. And I've appreciated people that have come on the station on the 2 shows. That being said, man, I want to be fair here on this. I was told that one of the, many people Tom Dundon fired in their layoffs was the person operating as basically the spokesperson for the Blazers with the city.
Yes, that is 100% true.
And now what reports are you getting? We're not really hearing from them. So, like, there's Tom Dundon being cheap with layoffs. That hurts.
Absolutely it does.
And so I don't want to absolve Tom Dundon of any of this. He has been shrewd. He's been in no way very excited about, I think, being in Portland. But I've looked at that as just like a guy that just cares about the sport thing. He's not from here. He'll never move here.
He cares about making money.
He cares about making money and winning, right? Like, those are the 2 driving forces. So I've never really put a lot of stock in the whole, like, he's not showing the passion and fire for Portland. It's like, dude, do you understand how there's like maybe 2 human beings in the world that can maybe show that passion as an owner of the Blazers? That being said, man, like, you want the money, and you should get it because the city owns the building. They haven't renovated it at all in 30 years.
No.
It was gifted to you for a freaking dollar. You got to communicate with city officials.
Yeah, there has to be a back and forth.
Let me just get in the front end of this. As an organization who wants a lot of money, you have to have a communication. I tend to agree on this one aspect from them. Why do you need to see my designs? Okay?
Like, well, I think it's because specifically of where the funds are coming from. So in one case, it is the Portland Clean Energy Fund.
Sure.
And if you're using money from that fund, it's in the law of the fund that money has to be used towards, we can all
fair rebuttal,
green energy
you
changes.
Should be communicating with city officials. That being said, here's my other stance. Vote on this tomorrow and approve the funding so we can get this forward and find out if they're staying or leaving. You want to really press them and get this done?
Yeah.
You want to sign the lease the fastest way, and they're going to wait till August, which I think, based on that, it's only a couple weeks, but it feels like...
The tough part is that's always been the timeline, and that's the confusing part
I know
to me
it
here.
is.
Like, everybody in the city that I've talked to has said, like, guys, take a deep breath. There is a process. This is how the entire process was always going to play out.
Sure.
Now, maybe we were hoping the Energy Fund and the Portland Prosper Fund would have already approved the money, and that's what the league is waiting on, and that's the step that's been we've gotten off the tracks.
Okay.
But in the city council vote and debate and opening up a MOU to discuss the lease agreement, that was always going to happen in August.
But I also don't think that they expected the organization and Dundon to play exactly how they've played it, which is barely communicate, not really care at all.
Yep.
They had that big get-together at the Moda Center a couple weeks ago, and he had one of the shortest stints as a speaker. Could not have looked less interested, I thought, in what we saw from it. So the agreement part, now this is where I think the city, dabbling in this whole like bait and switch. I was talking with somebody yesterday who was taking the city side, and it was like, imagine your best friend tells you this, this, and this, and then they don't do it. And I said, I fundamentally disagree with that comp. To me, it's like, imagine you bought a house, you got into a back and forth bid with the owner, you come to an agreement, and they agree to cover closing. And 2 weeks later, you're notified that they suddenly don't want to cover closing, and now you're stuck in this weird in-between of negotiation.
Like, wait a minute, I got to pay for this?
Based on what we heard when he bought the team, based on what we heard from Adam Silver, based on what we heard from Dan Ryan and Keith Wilson, it sounds like when they came here in March with Silver and his collective and Tom Dundon,
they were all here,
and talked with city officials, it sounds like there was an agreed-upon situation.
A framework of a deal in place.
But if you followed Keith Wilson, it feels like the city council has kind of been a thorn in the side of this set-upon agreement.
Yeah.
And I don't think Tom Dundon hasn't noticed that. And so now we're sitting in a weird spot of guy that doesn't really care about our city, and now you've bait and switched him a little bit, paired with these not communicating, which is terrible, paired with city council members that haven't even seen, by the way, the full rollout of what the funding would mean and do and how it's all.
Because we don't know where the money's coming
But
from
they're
because we're waiting on these
it.
two vehicles.
They're lining up with protesters and saying,
it's ridiculous.
done with billionaires. Like,
Right.
everybody in the situation has been stupid and continues to be stupid. But from the city side, you're leveraged. Your city is in not great shape.
Nope.
There's lease signs everywhere, and I love this city. And you've got a guy that has not a single ounce of emotional attachment to the history, to the city, to the state. And he thought he was getting something. He got here, and now he's finding out that he's got to wait, or he's hearing speculation about what it is and should they do it and how we're splitting the funding revenue. And like all of this stuff, it sucks. And so I don't know what DEFCON I'm at. I'm not going to 1 here. But I would like them to pass this funding so we can move this thing along and be like, all right, if he's been planning to move it the whole time, and the people that are saying he's Clay Bennett 2.0.
Here's the funding, sign the lease, and he won't sign the lease, then by all means
you
are
expose
right.
it.
Yes.
And Adam Silver's going to have a lot to answer for if that happens, by the way. Because he will now be the commissioner of a second organization to be relocating. But this whole toying with protesting and calling him out, it's just been nothing but a negative media climate since he bought the team.
Yeah, it's been very. I don't think
funding to how he runs an operation is negative, and we've got city council members now that are making people, I think, feel very uneasy about where this whole thing is going.
Right. I will remain, although it has definitely taken some hits and some bumps and bruises, optimistic that deadlines spur action. And the closer we get to this and the more realistic the threat actually becomes, the more alarming it becomes inside City Hall. And they say, do you realize the blood that will be on your hands if you do not approve this? It's one thing to go out on a campaign trail and say something for a video on Instagram. The President of the United States ran on releasing the Epstein files. How did that go when he got elected, right? Like a lot of people run on topics that are very attractive to their voter base, but when push comes to shove, will change course of action because of whatever interest they may or may not have. And so the campaigning I knew was going to happen. I remain steadfast in the opinion that I think at some point a deal will get reached and we'll find out that we've come to a conclusion on this. But in the meantime, it does not mean that things will not be uncomfortable and hairy, and you're going to get quotes like this. You're going to start to get some of this debated publicly, anonymous sources from Dundon side or the NBA side or the city side.
Well, you're getting it from the city side right now with these stories.
It's not going to go away for a while, and so buckle up. But I'm remaining hopeful that an agreement will be reached.
So you're DEFCON
3.
You're 3.
I'm 3.
Okay, I'll put a poll question up. What DEFCON are you at with the Blazers being uprooted and relocated, given everything going on with the city, Tom Dundon, etc.? Not a great answer from Adam Silver. You can chime in at the fan text line 503-864-6326. Put up a poll question about that. Blazer coverage on the Fan is presented by Xfinity. Score the most reliable Wi-Fi, one price, 5 years, guaranteed. Xfinity, imagine that. Back with more on the Fan.